This is the Wake Coaching Podcast. I'm Jeff.
I'm
This
Allie.
is my wife, Allie. So glad you joined us today. So we have a pretty interesting story as human beings.
Sure do.
We all do. I mean, everyone's unique, just like everyone else.
Everyone is interesting.
Right?
Yes,
So,
not just us.
Not just us. But I will say, so if you've been following us for a while, you know this. If you haven't followed us for a while, I encourage you to go back to some of our earlier episodes. So we are blended. We're a blended family, which
Yes.
isn't that unique in today's world.
No.
But the way we got to blending is unique. We got there not through divorce, but through death. Both of our previous spouses passed away at very young ages. And so Tiffany was 37 when she passed away, and Tyler was
33.
33. So very young, health issues, and passed away. And Allie and I found each other almost 5 years ago. And it's just been an incredible, incredible ride since in so many wonderful ways. So many ups, and there's been a few bumps along the road.
Can I just say?
Oh yeah,
Lots of bumps.
lots of bumps.
Blending
Yes,
is not easy.
blending's a. I'm just kidding. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
It's not easy.
No.
And so that's why we like to talk about it. We've talked about it before, and we will many times again, because if we can be an encouragement or help in any way with the blending process for someone else, that's why we talk about it.
I think blending, it's almost one of those things where if you feel like you've arrived in blending or there's a finish line for blending, you need to change your expectations. Because I think blending, it's a moving target. I think sometimes we're like, hey, how's it going? And we're like, wow, it's actually going really well. And there's other times where it's like, oh my gosh, this is so incredibly difficult. And it's difficult because people are involved.
Well,
Right.
it's very similar to the grieving process where people say you never stop grieving.
Yeah.
And especially if you're in the beginning stages of grief, you're like, are you freaking kidding me? I'll
Like,
never stop.
Yes.
You definitely come to a place where you're very functional. It's very much like in the background, and maybe the grief comes up just at certain times, right? At anniversaries or events like a wedding or, major life milestones. And I would say blending is somewhat similar.
Yeah.
Where it's a lot of work. It's very much in the forefront for the first, however many years.
Yes.
5 years.
Yes.
And I'm sure it's going to kind of come to the background in a big way as we continue on as a family. But there's going to be life events where the fact that we are a blended family is pretty challenging and pretty obvious.
Yeah. So even think about like the normal weddings or the normal holidays or the normal things that, oh, this is what the normal, atomic family, like how they celebrate, like, and then also like, okay, so what is this going to look like? We're thinking about those things ahead of those, but like really on a daily, there's ups and downs. And school has just started, just to give you like, context of what season. We just moved to Utah about 3 years ago from the Minneapolis metro area. So we wanted the kids to spend time with their grandparents and cousins who all still live back in the Minneapolis metro area. And so we're like, well, let's figure this out. And Allie had this genius idea. Let's drive them back, drop them off, fly back to Utah for like 10 days. So we got a little bit of like Jeff and Allie time, and then fly back to Minnesota for 10 days, hang out with the family, and then drive back. So the kids were in Minnesota, Wisconsin for 3 full weeks, probably at least.
Yep.
And so we just want to talk about some of the blending, the ups and downs, and some of the wins, some of the things that we experienced in a positive way from that time frame.
One of the things that even brought this to the forefront of my mind and our minds is I was on a business call while we were back in Minnesota, and it's a friend of ours that I work with as well. And he was like, oh, you're in a new setting today. Where are you now? And I'm like, oh, we're in Minnesota staying with Jeff's in-laws. And he was kind of like, oh, like, and I'm like, well, this would be his previous wife, Tiffany's parents that we're staying with. And he was like, oh, how is that going? Right? Like that sounds a bit complicated.
Well, even for him to be like, Jeff's in-laws, aren't those your parents?
Right.
Like what? I don't understand. Like
Right.
his like question makes sense because
Yeah.
they're like this setting doesn't make sense.
Right. And so, he just was asking some questions on a more personal level, like, well, how's that been? Like, how have you been accepted within that family? And I actually enjoyed the opportunity to share so much because it's pretty beautiful and pretty incredible. They have accepted me very openly, very wholeheartedly. Tiffany had 2 sisters, and there's lots of kids within the family, and it's a big family. They're really tight. And so it could be really easy to feel like an outsider in that setting. They spend a lot of time together. They're kind of the family that does everything together, right?
Everything always.
Yes. And so that could just be a really tough situation. And it hasn't been without its challenges, but we're in a place where, we're staying with Tiffany's parents for a few days and hanging out with them and loving our time with them and spending time with her sisters and all the cousins. And it's really beautiful. It's really cool that we get to have that relationship. And, I had just made the comment to Jeff, like, it's really interesting because I don't think there's ever been a time where I've been with that family where I understand they wish it was Tiffany that was there. But at the same time, I feel completely accepted and loved. And that's such an interesting tension to hold for everyone. Right?
Yeah, it's interesting because even that thought, because it's not to the same degree that we don't have the same relationship with your in-laws, which Tyler's parents, where we're spending the night at their house, and quite frankly, their house is 15 minutes from our
right
house.
by our
So
house.
it doesn't really need to be.
No, but there's other interesting, fun dynamics. Like we have our 3 littles, right?
Yeah.
Elijah, Amos, and Bo.
Yep.
Elijah and Amos were mine that I adopted, and Bo was your youngest. And so when we're with Tyler's parents, they often take the little boys for a sleepover.
Bo included.
And Bo goes along. And Bo even attended one of the Beavers family reunions. And
He was Bo Beaver for that weekend.
Bo Beaver. And they were fighting, Bo and Elijah, one day about, Bo was like, I am too a beaver. And I was like, well, you are a family member, but that's not quite the way it works.
Yes.
Right.
But it's honestly things like that where you're like, why would you go to that family reunion? That just seems strange. Why would we send Bo? Because Bo's not family. Okay, but yes, but no, but why not?
But yes. He is.
So yeah, Bo,
Yes.
go, and you go be Bo, and go and,
Yeah.
and so we're not spending the night, but there are moments. And I think about we'll vacation in Arizona where Allie's parents have a place there. So do Tyler's parents. So oftentimes we'll go to Arizona and we'll see Tyler's parents. And it could be one of those things. I remember the first times I hung out with them, I think it was Tyler's 3rd anniversary of his passing. And it was one of those things where I was like, wow, the only reason I'm here is because Tyler has passed away. I wouldn't be there. And obviously Tiffany as well. Oftentimes we find ourselves in this space where I'm like, we wouldn't be here if it weren't for death and it weren't for. And so, but in that moment, just the interactions I have with Tony and Tracy, they're just wonderful, kind. Yeah. Tyler's parents, they're wonderful, kind people. Tony and I give each other crap all the time. It really is he's hitting me and pushing me and I'm giving him, but it's really an interesting dynamic, that we've been able to blend to that level.
Yeah.
Cause I feel like when we feel more comfortable around my in-laws, your in-laws, the Steve and Kim, Tiffany's parents, and Tony and Tracy, Tyler's parents, what that does is it kind of puts everything at ease. And then we're more, I guess, free with the kids, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I just think life is so much more full. And I think of it this way because, Elijah and Amos are both adopted, and it's a similar kind of dynamic where it's you have these weird layers of family and it's very unconventional. And it could be oh, who do I choose? My birth mom or my adopted mom? And, I have these 2 things that are kind of tearing at me, right? In either direction. And instead of looking at it that way, I'm like, wow, Lige, you get to have 2 moms. how many people have two moms? Well, more people these days.
Yeah.
But just looking at it in more of an abundance mindset is, I think, a huge key, because when you are able to approach these kind of just layers of family dynamics and these really unconventional dynamics, like when you can approach them with that abundance mindset, it's an incredible blessing. Like you're just adding love and people you love and people you're doing life with to your life.
You know, as we talked about this and prepared for this podcast, I talked about that's something that we've really trained the kids with, or talked to the kids with, because we would come back and they're like, well, we like Minnesota and Wisconsin better than Utah. And I'm like, well, you don't have to choose. You actually get both. And I think it's taken a minute for them to pick up on like, oh, I can have both mountains and lakes. I can have both the adventure of living in Utah, and I still get to see my family and have really great quality time with my cousins and my grandparents and aunts and uncles. Like, oh, I don't have to choose. I get both. And as we're talking about that, you were so astute to bring up the fact that I think it took us a moment to realize we didn't have to choose.
Yeah.
Like we could do both. We could have our family, like our immediate family that we're striving so hard to blend so well.
Yep.
And we can still have the influence of the extended families or the original, the families of origin, right?
Yep.
Like Tyler's family and Tiffany's family. Like they're so incredibly influential. And it doesn't have to be like, well, you choose either me or your grandparents or this. It doesn't. Why? Someone ultimately loses. Like we talked about the idea of keeping score, right? When you're keeping score like that, and we're trying to keep score and like, okay, well, they went here last time, so we need to like all just the tit for tat scorekeeping. Ultimately, we lose, right? Because if you're trying to keep score, you're trying to control. Yeah. And when you try to control, it's generally because you don't trust.
Yeah.
And I think about that, like you can either have high trust or high control, but you can't have both.
Yeah.
If you really trust, you're going to relax control. If you don't trust, you're going to increase control. And so that's something in the blending process too, which is vitally important. So as you begin to see like, okay, I can trust that scenario that my child is going into, I can trust it more. So that way you control it less, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So just backing up for a second, like we have come off of a summer of spending time with family, and it probably felt the best, most just like peaceful, cohesive that it's felt since we started the blending process.
Yes, so far.
And so we share that like to be an encouragement and kind of like it is possible, right?
Yeah.
And it takes time. Like it's been 5 years.
Yeah.
But there are certain things that we've learned we did not know at the beginning. We have learned through like pain that can really help. And so not choosing, that's one of them.
Yeah.
And I'll just say that one took 5 years for all of us, because I think your heart takes a while to catch up to your head with that one. Where it doesn't make sense, but somehow you still feel like if I'm going to love these grandparents, it's taking from these grandparents, right? And it's not, but like we feel that way. And there's that internal tension.
Or even from us, if the kids choose to go do that with their original grandparents rather than the new grandparents or with us, then they're choosing what was over what is.
Yeah.
And that hits, you're like, ugh.
That's how you feel. It's not truth. But
no, it's not true.
There's so much like deep kind of internal processing that's happening through all of this. And so give it time and give your heart time to catch up with what you know is to be true.
Yeah. And I think with that, I think that's like another key to this is giving grace.
Yes, that's number two. Give so much grace.
Give grace to yourself. Give grace to your kids. Give grace to the family. Like if you have to have so much grace, because I mean, people will say things that are hurtful.
Yep.
People will say things that aren't fully thought through. That's just a reality of humanity, right? We just say things. Like I've said things that are like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my. But like, give grace.
Yes. So things will not always feel fair, and you'll have to make sacrifices through the blending process, and especially in creating these relationships with the extended family. That's where you talk about like we cannot be keeping score through those times, like when it's not fair. If we're focused on it being equal and fair, we're missing the point. So a quick example of this is the very first year we were married. We had been married for, I don't know, like 5 months, maybe 6 months.
Yeah.
And it was Mother's Day. We knew it was going to be a tough day. And so we had planned to go see your mother-in-law. And then we were going to go see my mom and sometime in the middle, like celebrate me as a mother as well. Well, the day went pretty terrible.
Went off the rails.
Went off the rails with emotions and just grief. And there were some kids that just wanted to leave and not even be present. And it was not what we planned or envisioned at all. There was no celebrating me.
No.
We went to visit your mother-in-law and emotions were so raw. We just really knew like we just needed to be there. And so we also didn't see my mom. And for me, from where I was at, from what I needed, I was like, this isn't fair. Right? Like I want to be with my mom on Mother's Day too. But that just wasn't fair. Didn't matter. That's not what we needed was fair. We needed to be with your mother-in-law.
Yeah. Tiffany's mom.
For her and for the kids. And that year it mattered more that we took more care with them. And other years have been different. Does it all even out in the wash? Probably, but who cares? That can't be the focus. Yeah.
And you weren't celebrated either.
No.
And I think that's the thing. Like, it was like, oh, wow. Like you could look at it as it was a loss as a Mother's Day would go. But I think big picture relationally, like it was a win because like you humbled yourself. You didn't throw a fit like, what about me? You were like, okay, no, the kids need this. Kim needs this. This is what we're going to do. And it wasn't a big fight. It wasn't a big thing. You were just like, you handled it. And like, you put the kids first, you know, you're like, okay, what do the kids need? And we're not huge advocates of always putting kids first. If you really know us, that's not it at all. But there are certain times where the kids, like in that moment in the grieving cycle for the blending process, giving a little there has gotten us a lot further from there.
Yeah. So another major tip, you kind of touched on it already, but just the need to control. There are a lot of really complicated emotions and dynamics going on within the blending process, especially when you're including extended family. And you talk about holidays or birthdays or, you know, really important big life milestones, and it gets emotional really quickly.
It's complicated so fast.
Yeah. And you really want to make sure that you're doing what's right for the kids. You talk about we're not kids first. Like we're not kids being happy first.
We're not a kid-centric home.
No. Like our home isn't about making our kids happy. Our home is about doing what's right for them. And so in order to not be like feeling the need to control every little thing, you do have to be able to trust. But that trust doesn't come without some really just clear and open conversations with people. And we've had to have some pretty uncomfortable conversations with your in-laws or like even my parents, with the kids. We've had to communicate, this is where we stand on things. And the only way that we can build trust and know like we have alignment and they have our back or they have the same, they're upholding like the same standards for our kids when they have our kids, like things like that. Like the only way that you can trust that and know that is by having those conversations. That wasn't always easy or comfortable, but we had them and we like proactively had them so that we could trust we were in alignment together in like loving and caring for our kids.
And I think that brings back to the grace idea, giving and extending grace. Like when you're like approaching those conversations, we had to have like an assumption that we're coming from the same space, that we have common ground here. Not like you're crazy as a grandparent and we're awesome as parents, so you're wrong and we're automatically right. Like that wasn't it. It was like, hey, it was like conversations like, here's what we would like for the kids. Here's how we would like them like parented, things that aren't okay, things that are okay. But coming from the same same space of like, okay, we're in this together. Like we are teaming up to help the kids. Like this is for the kids and this is for a relationship and blending. And so if you do have the idea like, hey, we're on the same team. Same team. We're not fighting each other. We're not fighting for anything. We're not fighting for the kids. It's literally the same team. When you have that mentality, the conversations just go that much more smoothly. So I hope this helps. I mean, this has been maybe for you, you're new, you're just starting the blending process. I encourage you. There's a phrase I heard, you overestimate what you can do in a year and you underestimate what you can do in 5 years. So don't get all bent out of shape if after 12 months, your family isn't just like picture perfect on Instagram, ready for all of the fall pictures now. So just give yourself some grace and space. Yep. And honestly, it takes time. It takes living. It takes, ups and downs. It takes bumps. And so
takes sacrifice,
takes all of those things in order to blend well. And are we perfect? No. Do we have more to learn?
Yes.
Absolutely. Do we have so much more to learn about blending and becoming blending?
Yes.
1,000,000%. But hopefully our experience has helped you today. And so I encourage you, if it has, like, comment, share with someone that may be in a similar process. If there's something that we said that could be beneficial to them, I encourage you to share it with them. And once again, this is Jeff. This here is Jeff. That's Allie. Wake
Thanks for joining
Coaching
us.
Podcast. Thanks so much. Bye.